The red-hot Indianapolis Colts are limping into a big Week 4 matchup with the Los Angeles Rams. Can they overcome their injuries? Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Colts, your daily Indianapolis Colts podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you all for tuning in and making us your first listen of the day. This is your daily podcast covering your Indianapolis Colts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Hello, everyone. My name is Zach Hicks, your resident film nerd of horseshoehuddle.com. My partner in crime, Jake Arthur, is the credentialed boots on the ground for Roundtable Sports, covering the Colts. Guys, we have a fun, action-packed episode planned for you guys. We're going to talk all about the Colts offense versus the Los Angeles Rams, the defense, and then give our final predictions to close it out. But before we get into the offense and the defense and all these individual matchups that I really want to nerd out about, Jake, we have to talk about some injuries because that's the biggest headline coming into this game for the Colts. We already knew kind of coming into the week that Kenny Moore and Alec Pierce were very unlikely to play. That held true throughout the whole week. Both of those guys will be out for this weekend. But the big surprise, Matt Gonsalves, the right guard who has been insanely impressive this season, he will also be out this weekend with a toe injury. I hope that's not going to be too long of an injury, but it didn't seem like it from how Shane Steichen talked about it earlier today with you guys. So hopefully it's a 1 week thing for him. They also have a couple questionable players. Anthony Gould is questionable for this game with an illness that popped up. He should be good to go, but we'll monitor that. And then DeForest Buckner, he's technically questionable, but again, I think you need to strap him to like a wall or something to keep him from playing on Sundays. I don't think there's any chance he doesn't play, but certainly something to monitor there. To give an update on the Rams, look, they have a handful of guys questionable, including Devontae Adams and Rob Havenstein, some really important players, but it seems like all of their questionable guys are going to be good to go. So the Colts are kind of limping into this matchup, Jake, where the Rams, for the first time all year, seem pretty healthy. They're also getting Steve Avila back, their guard, who started, I think, all last year for them on the interior. So they're kind of getting healthier, where the Colts are coming in here -3 starters in a pretty big matchup.
Yeah, I guess the good thing for the guys who are out for the Colts is they're not guys who the Colts have zero answers behind them. You know, with Alec Pierce, this obviously gives A.D. Mitchell a big opportunity to make some plays. And then Matt Gonsalves, yeah, I know the beard thing there. With Matt Gonsalves, we know that Dalton Tucker played, 464 snaps, I think it was last year. Who's counting? And then Kenny Moore, that one's tough. That one's really, really tough because you want full dogs going up against Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. But, Mekhi Blackmon, I don't know. We'll see. A lot of Vikings people I've talked to are really pulling for him because he has played good ball before he had the ACL injury. And then Mike Hilton is going to play already. We'll see what the workload is for him. But I've got to imagine Lou Anarumo has kind of a few things in the clip where he's like, these are things I know Hilton can do, and time will have not changed that at all. Like, we can do that, like blitzing, I'm sure, is something that we'll probably see him come on a couple times. But yeah, we'll see. As far as Buckner and Gould go, not really worried about that. Buckner already said he should be good to go when he talked to us on Thursday. And then Gould, he was out Thursday, but then he practiced Friday a little bit today. So we'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, it's not great injuries, but still guys they somewhat have answers for.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the injuries as we go through offense and defense here. But starting with the offense, Jake, I don't think this Rams defense is a pushover by any means. They have one of the better defensive lines in the league. It's maybe not as good as that Broncos defensive line the Colts faced a couple weeks ago, but close to it. It's closer to the Broncos than it is the Dolphins or the Tennessee Titans defensive lines, I think, in my opinion, just in terms of the whole group playing very well for the Los Angeles Rams. But then after that, a lot of their play behind them relies on the scheme and the coaching more so than the individual players. It's not some dominant superstars behind that defensive line. All their stars are kind of up front with the Jared Verse and the Kobe Turners and all of those guys. So really, I think the goal for this game is winning the trenches, and then you can kind of get what you want on this defense. Now, that definitely is a bit harder with Dalton Tucker starting there at right guard, who I'm optimistic about. I'll even go on an island right now. I'll go on this hill and say, like, yes, Dalton Tucker is a step down for Mac Gonsalves, but I have believed in the traits of this guy since he came here as an undrafted free agent. I think he's great when he's left uncovered in pass protection where he can find work and be a help blocker. And I think he's a better run blocker right now than Mac Gonsalves is because he's just more natural at the position. The real question is, can he handle those Gilligan Island reps, those right guard on an island reps against whoever the Rams want to isolate against
Braden
him?
Fisk.
Yeah, that'll be the big question because that's really where he like struggled the most last year and what led to his benching last season. If he can just get in the way for 2 seconds, for 2.5 seconds, we can be successful in this game. So big question with Dalton Tucker. But when it comes to this Colts offense versus the Rams defense, as long as you can kind of control the line of scrimmage or at least stalemate the line of scrimmage, then it's these Colts pass catchers and these Colts tight ends versus these Rams linebackers. And I really like that matchup for this Colts offense. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, I think so. And I think you're right. They lack like superstar power other than Jared Verse, but they are so good as a unit. You can name off a bunch of dudes: Byron Young, Poona Ford, Kobe Turner, Braden Fisk. Like they have got a group of guys up front that are really, really good. And you kind of look at the Rams run defense last year, and there were some times where they were very, very vulnerable, not even just against Saquon Barkley. But they're much better this year. They're very stout against the run. And you look at it, and they've made a couple additions in that front seven, including the linebacker core, where it's just working better. It's more effective. Guys are where they're supposed to be. They're getting off blocks or they're clogging the lanes a little bit better. So we obviously know the Colts want to establish the run. Like Jonathan Taylor is leading the league in rushing. He's their engine right now. Luckily for them, everything offensively is kind of working. They're a little vulnerable. The Rams are in the secondary with that group of corners. They're a bit banged up, but they're also small. And then one thing we know about the Colts, they've got size. A.D. Mitchell is a big guy. Michael Pittman's a big guy. Tyler Warren is not going to just be used like a classic tight end either. So while I really would like to see the Colts be able to establish the run or at least feign that they're going to do it and make the Rams believe that they'll have, a shot at doing it throughout the game, I think this might be one of our first opportunities to see Daniel Jones go out there and rip the ball 35, 40 times and be the guy that is the reason they won.
Yeah, well, I think certainly the plan is to come out the gate in this one with a pass-heavy approach, and that's what they've done in most of these games. Shane Steichen's philosophy is pass to score, run to win, and I think that's what you really need to do in this matchup is pass a lot early to soften up that run defense and then get Jonathan Taylor going in the second half, like we saw against the Denver Broncos, like we saw against the Tennessee Titans. That's the way they're going to approach most matchups, but especially in this one. I think one of the most key ways to attack this defense, though, is when you're going against a defensive line like this, and a team that I don't think they blitz very heavy either. So they rely on that defensive line to get a lot of pressure. I think we'll see a lot of situations where the Colts will go a bit more max protect. And maybe that's not 7 or 8 blockers because they're not going to be facing blitzes in this one, but it can be 6 blockers, maybe 7 blockers to really combat these defensive linemen who are talented up front and isolating A.D. Mitchell out there with one of these smaller corners, isolating Michael Pittman Jr. on an in-breaking route behind the linebackers with one of these safeties over the top and making them have to be physical with these bigger Colts wide receivers. So I think the Colts will rely a lot on their max protection, especially if they go to 12 personnel and the Rams match that personnel with more linebackers on the field. I think we'll have some max protect shots to A.D. Mitchell in this game, especially on like outbreaking routes where it's harder for underneath the zone defenders to get out there and help these corners. Anything that leaves these corners like susceptible to A.D. Mitchell's route running, I think will get him pretty involved. So I think the two guys to really watch in this Colts offense in terms of like early production are A.D. Mitchell and Tyler Warren. Those are the guys they're going to want to use to soften up this run defense a little bit. And then the second half, it'll be all Jonathan Taylor. But I think this is certainly a game where it wouldn't shock me if it's a regression game for the Colts offense because the drop-off from Gonsalves to Tucker could really hurt them in pass protection. And all the stuff that Alec Pierce does, like the little things, if A.D. Mitchell's not ready to do those little things, it could really hurt them. But I think on paper, I like this matchup because of the way the Colts have abused opposing linebackers and the way they can use max protect to get A.D. Mitchell on an island versus these smaller corners. I think those two things set up really well to get the Colts the opportunity to get 20 plus points in this one. So I think they're going to get 20 plus points in this game. It's just, will that be enough to win the game will be the big question.
Yeah, and our guy Christian here said big Tyler Warren game incoming, like you were just mentioning. When you've got that 12 personnel, if you want to, have him chip and then slip off a block and then be open for a screen pass. But, this defense will run some zone if you think he can go out there and find the soft spots in the zones. You got some zone beaters for him. Yeah, I think A.D. Mitchell is a guy that really looks obvious to me if they're able to capitalize on those shots. Intermediate to deep doesn't have to just be all the deep stuff that Alec Pierce does so well, but Tyler Warren as well. I think he didn't have a bad game last week, but we're looking for a bounce back game like he had in the first couple weeks. So, I would certainly say Tyler Warren is due for a decent game in this one.
Yeah, even with Pierce out, you have Downs and Mitchell when you identify man pre-snap, and you have Warren and Pittman when you identify zone. So the Colts still have the weapons on offense to throw the ball, come out throwing the ball pretty heavy, be at like a 70% pass rate in like the first half, and then you can get back to like a 50-50 in the second half to run this game away. But overall, I like the matchup, Colts offense versus Rams defense. I think they can be successful. It really just comes down to how they look in the trenches. If they're not disastrous, I think they have a good chance of putting up points in this game. But coming up, we're going to talk about the bigger of these two matchups, the Colts defense versus the Rams offense. Can they keep Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua under 28 points, I think, is probably where we're going here. Can they hold them at least down? Maybe not stop them, but hold them down just a little bit on Sunday.
This episode is brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood hotspots run on Square. There are certain businesses that truly make the neighborhood feel like home, whether it's the local sports bar packed on game days, the coffee shop that knows your order by heart, or it's the corner deli that's been serving your community for decades. These are the places that bring people together. And when neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. One place I know that uses Square here in Indy is Newfields, the art museum. Love this place. My family and I go at least a couple times a year, especially right now for harvest nights. It's spooky season. And this is always a place we circle with a big red marker where we have to go every year around Halloween time. They got stuff for the kids. They've got like awesome displays throughout the walking trail there. They've got that mansion that, for my money, it's haunted, and I am into that kind of stuff on spooky season. But no, Newfields is awesome. And then, of course, when you got Square, it makes everything so much quicker. When you got to buy a drink, buy a snack, on the gift shop on the way out, very quick. And then Square makes it all possible, makes it easy to get in and out when you got kids with you, and it's not always convenient to sit there and fumble with your wallet. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/LockedOnNFL to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square, see you in the neighborhood. And guys, it's almost the weekend. I know you can smell it. And it's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more money every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. So let's go ahead and break it down. For the Colts, no secret here. Daniel Jones has delivered in a big way all season. Zach, what have you seen as kind of common traits for Daniel that's been able to make it so he's performing, week in and week out?
Just his operation in the system and also his operation under pressure. He has been streaky under pressure, and this is something we've never seen from Daniel Jones before at all in his career. So hopefully he can keep this streak going in a big way this weekend against the Rams.
Absolutely. And when the pressure was on, Jones came through big time. No hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching this week after week, the performance wasn't a fluke because Jones is on a streak. Just like Jones delivered for the Colts, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday that you order, stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday and keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only on DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period only through November 18th. All right, welcome back, everydayers. We are talking Colts and Rams week 4. Big one for the Colts, 3-0, as they take on the Rams, who are 2-1. So for me, it's just kind of a comparable matchup as the Broncos one. Two stout defenses with a lot of good juice on offense. They can make you pay anytime. But I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty worried about this Rams offense. They're a team, if they want to commit to the power run, if the offensive line is working, they could do that with Kyron Williams and Blake Corum. Matthew Stafford has been a top 10 quarterback in the league for umpteen amount of years. Like, the guy has arm talent still like you wouldn't believe. Can make some of the most difficult throws possible, has arm strength still to boot. And obviously Puka Nacua is the type of guy where every year we're searching for, this is the next Puka Nacua in the draft. And then, Devontae Adams. Now, Stafford and Adams haven't quite found their groove yet. They're only converting about like 50% of their targets right now, but it's coming. Like, it's Devontae Adams, it's Matthew Stafford. They'll get it. I don't feel great about this, especially with Kenny Moore out. But there are some areas where it's not so bad.
Yeah, I think the most obvious thing for the Colts defense in this one, I know there is a little bit of debate on, going the Bill Belichick method where you put your best corner on wide receiver 2 and bracket wide receiver 1. Well, I think when the discrepancy is this big, and I mean this with no disrespect to Devontae Adams, I mean this with all respect to Puka Nacua, he is the receiver in that offense. It's not a Colt situation in this Rams offense where the Colts can go to 5 different pass catchers. It is Puka Nacua is the guy, and every now and then we can get the ball to Devontae Adams. Puka Nacua is everything in that passing game for the offense right now. They have the highest, they have the quickest, get the ball out in the league. Like, Stafford's throwing the ball 2.3 seconds per drop back right now. He's not taking sacks because he's throwing the ball insanely quick. They're a 40% play action offense too. So they're doing this under their play action game is the quick game to Puka still. It is crazy how they're operating right now on offense to avoid Stafford getting hit and to getting the ball into their superstar playmaker. So I think the 2 biggest things for me are you combine a little bit of what the Colts did last week where they had Ward on Ridley all game long to make sure Ridley's catches got limited, and that worked to great effect. Ridley only had the 1 catch all game long. And then you also do the game plan from week 1, which our poor comment section is going to be upset when I say this because it's not going to lead to many sacks. They're going to do a lot of drop 8 coverage, because here's the thing. If you bring 8 guys against Stafford, that ball is going to be out in 2.3 seconds. If you bring 2 guys against Stafford, that ball is going to be out in 2.3 seconds. He's going to throw the ball quick, regardless. That has been his MO this season. He's had the back injury all off season. He's still been effective this year, but it's because he's getting the ball out so quick. So I think overall, the way that Lou Anarumo is going to view this is I need to get more hands in coverage because the pass rush, even if these guys are on point and rushing like their lives depend on it, you're probably not going to get much pressure on him regardless because of how quick he's getting the ball out. So I think they're going to have a lot of that Dolphins game plan where they're going to drop defensive ends into coverage. They're going to be in 3-down lineman looks and have dime coverage out there and get extra bodies over the middle of the field. And then at the end of the day, I'm telling Charvarius Ward, I don't care what happens on that side of the ball. It could be a run play. I want you on Puka Nacua on the run plays. Anything you do, make sure Puka Nacua is your hands are on him. If you get penalties, that's fine. I don't care. Just be on Puka Nacua. Don't let him catch the football. That is the end goal here for the Colts defense. So I think there is a way to survive this Rams offense. It's a good offense, but it's not this overpowering elite offense, but it can really hurt you because they have that superstar in Nacua, and Kyron Williams is a very good running back as well. But for me, I think a lot of it is just get bodies over the middle of the field where Stafford likes to throw the football. Don't get tricked by his eyes. He's so good at looking off defenders with his eyes. Trust your zone drops. Trust your defenders around you. And at the end of the day, Charvarius Ward, do anything you can to not get Puka Nacua involved because that is a top-tier wide receiver, and Matthew Stafford knows it. Every single Sunday, he knows that Puka Nacua is this superstar receiver. So just take him out of the game plan, and you obviously have a chance against this Rams offense.
Yeah, without question. And I was going to say the same thing. It's got to be kind of the Miami thing, the Miami game plan. You even go back to, with the Jaguars when the Colts, it seems like they couldn't even beat them at home because Trevor Lawrence was getting rid of the ball so quickly. The only way to counter that, if you're not going to get home to the quarterback regardless, is to mix things up in coverage. I asked Shane Steichen about that today. I was like, if you've got a guy who's getting rid of the ball quick, realistically, you're not going to get him for sacks that often. How can you make things difficult? And he's like, without getting into it, he said, there's just some things you can do in coverage, and that's just going to have to be it. You can't really confuse a guy like Matthew Stafford that much, but you can probably frustrate him and throw the unexpected at him a little bit, make him, again, just have to think a half second longer. Because, again, the pass rush, you hope to pressure him into maybe errant throws, because the dude does love to throw ball over the middle, these deep crossers and stuff, something he's always been good at. If you get to him and put pressure on him while he's uncorking some of those, the ball can sail, and hello, you got Cam Bynum for his 3rd interception of the year. Net cross comes up big in those situations normally as well. So yeah, if you can at least get pressure on him while he's throwing, understand there's not going to be many sacks. I think he's one of the least sacked quarterbacks in the league right now as well, despite the pass blocking has not been great, oddly enough.
The ball's out so quick, though,
Yeah.
you have no chance to get a sack. So
That's
it's
exactly
a lot.
right.
This is what we say when we say like quarterback sacks are a lot to do with quarterback and offensive line play.
Yeah.
It's like looking at the Colts offense right now. Daniel Jones has been sacked twice this year, and the Colts offensive line's been very good, but there were a couple where he should have been sacked and he got out of them. So that's one way. And then also throwing the ball quick like Stafford has is another way. I'm with you, Jake. I think one thing they have to tell the pass rushers in this game, if they're bringing 3 or 4 guys, is it's not the same game plan as last week. With Cam Ward, it was he's going to hold the ball for 8 seconds, just stay in your rush lanes, keep him in the pocket, and we can make mistakes here. With Stafford, win as quick as possible. Win as quick, like don't worry about bull rushing and then holding it. Just go. The second the ball is snapped, explode off the ball, get after him, and if you can get a hit on him and make him think about you, that's more effective than anything here. So I'm with you. I think if you're going to get pressure, it has to be as quick as possible. It can't be these 3-second bull rushes and then holding and stalemating to keep him in the pocket, because he's going to stay in the pocket. He's not leaving the pocket, so you got to get after him on those rushes. It's really big for guys like Pay and Latu to win their rushes quick in this game.
And that has not always been an easy task this year. But we're going to talk about our final thoughts here. Zach has a little bit of a streak to keep up as well. So the pressure is really on me this week. I got to go with my heart and my brain here. So we're going to give you our final thoughts on this matchup coming up here in a moment. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else as of August 2025. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. You can make even everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, welcome back, everydayers. We're talking Colts and Rams. We've talked about injuries, the offense and the defense, and now we're going to give our final thoughts and let you know how this thing is going to turn out. So everyone right now, dump into the comment section what you think this final score is going to be. All right, Zach, so for me, this is obviously a very tough matchup of the same degree of the Broncos won, which the Colts won by 1 point at the very end. I haven't seen enough watching both the Colts and Rams to say the Colts shouldn't win it. It's a complete toss-up game to me. You can tell me the outcome, whatever, and I will probably believe you. But, the Colts are 3-0. I think their offense has been playing so well to this point, and I think the offense will have a better time than the defense regardless. So, I don't think the Colts are going to have to get super uncharacteristic in order to win this one. So for me, I'm going to give them a narrow win. I'm talking like 27-24, very close win within 3 points. There's just not enough out there for me to say that they're not going to win it. And same for the Rams. But for us, tie goes to the home team, and the Colts are our home team. So yeah, I'm going narrow win for them. I don't know how well Jonathan Taylor is going to do in this one. Might be just like 60 yards. But I think this is going to be one where Daniel Jones kind of has to put the offense on his back.
And so far, he has put the offense on his back this year. So we're going to see if that Daniel Jones magic continues. I think they're still operating at such a high level with his marriage in this scheme and what he's doing pre and post snap that I'm having faith in this Colts offense. I think the biggest factors for me in this game, one are, again, how on defense, how much can you contain Puka Nacua? Because if Nakua's getting those 100+ yards, it's going to be tough to keep the Rams off the scoreboard. And then on offense, we already kind of talked about where it's like you got to win the trenches or at least stalemate the trenches. I feel really good about the Colts tight ends and pass catchers against that second and third level of the Rams defense, but I do struggle with that offensive line versus defensive line. like I go back to the Denver Broncos game where I don't think the Colts O-line won that matchup against the Denver Broncos D-line. That Broncos D-line was fantastic all game long, but they stalemated enough to where the Colts were able to get that victory. And I think that'll be key on the Colts offense. But then one more thing I want to throw out there, because we have to add some extra time to the end of the show here with our predictions, is red zone offense will be the deciding factor in this game. 100% the deciding factor. Neither of these offenses are like I know the Rams had a long touchdown, but both of these offenses are ones that want to get the ball out quick, want to move the ball methodically down the field, get in the red zone and punch it in for 6. And this is where the Colts have been a bit susceptible this year, where the red zone offense hasn't been great. Red zone defense has had some communication issues. So that ultimately might be the area where if the Colts lose this game, we're looking back at that red zone offense almost like we had to against the Denver Broncos and said, like, man, they lost because of the red zone woes. So we'll see if the Colts can punch it in more often than not in the red zone this week. I do feel good about the Colts being able to exchange punches for sure this Sunday. The injuries concern me a good bit, but ultimately I have to pick with my streak here. As Christian says in the comments, let's go, Zach. You better have the Colts losing. I'm 0-3 to start the year with my selections, and I'm trying to go 0-4 this week. So I got the Rams winning 28-26. We got the Los Angeles Rams winning 28-26. The 4 touchdowns the Rams score in the red zone. Colts kick a couple field goals, and that's ultimately what decides it. But I'm hoping to move on to 0-4, Jake. I'm on fire right now, I think.
Yeah.
Right, in a horrible way. I'm trying to get the first overall pick with my predictions, and sitting at 0-3 currently. I mean, 0-4 would be a great feeling. I'm tanking. That's what I'm doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, do you got any bold predictions for this one? Because there are a couple streaks still alive for the Colts. No turnovers to this point. Daniel's only been sacked twice. Obviously, they're 3-0. So I think the turnover one probably falls. Yeah.
Yeah. They'll turn the ball over this weekend. My biggest bold prediction is I think AD Mitchell has a pretty big game. I think this will be, I know the Rams aren't a huge man coverage type of defense, so it does kind of work weird in this one. But I think the Colts will have some of those max protect shots to them that'll hit. So I think you'll have like 50 plus yards in this game. I picked him up in one of my fantasy leagues just so I could sell him after the week after he has a pretty big game. Perfect. So you guys know that I'm kind of banking on that. Defensively, I think they're going to have very few sacks in this game for the Colts, just because I think the game plan is going to be that drop 8 coverage. It's going to be a lot of getting hands over the middle of the field and keeping hands up and making sure that field of vision is blocked for Stafford. So I think my biggest bets of the week are, again, it's AD Mitchell having a pretty big game, Warren having a pretty good game for the Colts. And then defensively, I think they're going to be under like 2 sacks, under 1 sack this week for the Colts. I think those are my safest bets of the week here.
I'll give a bold prediction. Either Warren or Mitchell will have 100 yards in this game.
Okay. You know what we're still watching for actually both of these players, which is weird because one of them's a sophomore. Neither have scored a touchdown in the NFL yet.
No, they haven't.
AD Mitchell, it's crazy because he's on game like 21 or whatever it is in his career. But I would like to see one of those guys punch one in for a score this weekend. That would be big, I think, for the confidence of both of them, especially for Mitchell. It's been so long since he's been in the league. Big opportunity for him. So I'd love to see one of those guys punch it in for 6.
Yeah. And then, so just to briefly touch on the red zone stuff again, I kind of wonder if that's just going to work itself out. I think their red zone failures, so much of it has been kind of tied to penalties or a lack thereof. Like they've had a couple that have backed them up from the low red zone. They've had a couple calls where, Tyler Warren and Alec Pierce have gotten mugged in the end zone and it hasn't been called. So that stuff I think will all even out in the wash. I don't think they have to drastically change anything. There hasn't been anything they've done that I've hated in the red zone necessarily. We know some more diversity is coming to the red zone. Whenever they feel they can get Tyler Warren kind of unleashed in his multitude of ways in the red zone, we know that will come at some point. But yeah, that, and then just things will not stay status quo the whole time. The Colts definitely have got to quit committing penalties that close to the end zone, but yeah, I'm not overly concerned there. They're in the bottom half of the league, but it's a pretty thin margin.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's definitely one of the more positive regression things that we can look at. Like, we're talking negative regression with turnovers, positive regression can come with scoring touchdowns in the red zone. So we'll just see, again, as more games come in, we get more data to tell what this team's really going to be. And this is one final benchmark to add to what we know this team is through 1 month of the season. I want to throw one more thing out there just because we're throwing things at the wall here to see what sticks. And then we'll clip it after the week and say, look how smart we are if any of these hit. That's the key to podcasting right now, to let all you young podcasters know. But one thing I have noticed is Ashton Doolin's getting a little bit of run on offense, about 25 to 30 snaps, I think, through the 3 games, right? So very few, just limited package. And they've essentially used him as a wide receiver tight end. He's playing this sniffer tight end role. He's mostly blocking. They got him the 1 touch in week 1, but he has 0 catches on the year. And we've seen each of the first 3 weeks that there's been this creative play call that Shane Steichen's drawn up that has gotten a big gain, from the ISO run last week to the big Tyler Warren throw over the top in week 2 to the weird variation of Yankee in week 1 against the Dolphins. There's always something. I think there's going to be a dueling catch in here eventually out of these runs they're doing with him, especially with Pierce out this week. You maybe lean into those a little bit. I think there might be like a dueling play coming, like a play action off of some of these looks, because they're kind of getting, it looks like they have the right looks to develop a play action off of it with how they're using him as this tight end wide receiver. So if I want to throw one more thing at the wall, I think there's going to be like a dueling catch for like 25 yards in this game. We'll see if that hits. That'll be crazy if that one hits, but that's one more I wanted to throw out there.
Every catch he makes is a big catch though. Like that's his thing. Like everything he does, like a 27, 30-yard catch, you know?
Yeah, that's true. It'll be harder from where he's lined up right now because they're lining him up again. Like every single snap is like a sniffer tight end roll, and he's blocking on most of these. So it'd be a little more creative with it. But I think they can build something off of that. I'm excited to see what they can do with that. But that's all we have for today, guys. Let us know in the comment section below what you think going into Sunday against this Rams matchup. Either way, the Colts are guaranteed to finish the month of September with a winning record for the first time since 2020, trying to go to 4-0 in September for the first time since 2009, like many other first times we've hit this year with the Colts. So make sure you keep that eye out on Sunday for everything going on. And we want to thank you guys for making Locked On Colts your first listen today and every day. The NFL season is finally here. So for your next listen, get a double dose of Locked On NFL podcast. Tyler, the Madman Roland, gives you a shot of NFL espresso to start your football day, while Tony Wiggins takes you into the barbershop for the smoothest breakdowns to end the day. Find Locked On NFL on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. And if you guys want to become a Locked On Colts insider and chat with us directly and get that insider scoop, follow the link in our show notes. And if you don't already, make sure you're following at Locked On Colts, at Jake Arthur NFL, and at Zach Hicks 2, all on socials. Also subscribe to us on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. We love your guys' ratings, reviews, and we'll catch you guys back here immediately after the game on Sunday evening.